it's the height of summer. It's 36 degrees outside, I think. I'm quite sweaty. So I thought, why not film an autumn TBR? It seemed logical in my head. So if you've been around here a while, you might know that it is my plan this year to try and reduce the size of the unread books that I have on my shelves. It's just something I want to do, no pressure, really kind of quite chilled out. I just want to have less unread books on my shelves. So that's kind of what I'm trying to focus on this year. To do that, I started a little reading challenge with my friend Kerry, TBR Reading Spa, which again, quite chilled out, just as a way to kind of pick books. And what I've found so far this year is actually setting myself a TBR every month is really helping, because sometimes I read things off that TBR, sometimes I read in library books, sometimes I'm looking at the books that I've selected for that month and thinking, no, I don't want to read those. But that kind of helps me kind of narrow down, well, the books on my shelves that I actually want to read and what I don't want to read. So I think it's been quite helpful. So I thought what I would do is film an autumn TBR. And of course, the wonderful Victoria at What Victoria Reads has put together the autumn reading challenge. And I have it here, the little bingo board thing. I will drop a link below to her announcement video for this and the Storygraph challenge. But there are 24 or potentially 25 books that you can select. So what I thought I would do is, rather than pick 24, 25 books, I'll go through the prompts, but rather than just pick those books and then tell you what they're going to be, I thought I would do this whilst filming. So all of my unread books are currently, let me just, there are piles of books. There are piles of books around me. They're everywhere. There's also a little fan here for when I get too hot. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to count the number of unread books on my shelf. I do have a Storygraph challenge for myself, for my own TBR this year, but I'm not entirely sure that that's correct. And there are some books that I've picked out for TBR. I have bought a couple of books this year. I was trying not to buy any. I haven't bought any new, but the other day I was in a charity shop and they had a whole bunch of Persephone books. So I bought 2 new Persephone books, which are somewhere down here, and I can't even remember what they are. I just bought them because they're Persephone books. And I also bought this in a secondhand bookshop, which is a book by Vera Brittain called Testament of Friendship. So I am actually going to add those to kind of my reading plans for this year. But let's count how many unread books I have first. Okay. 89 books. Okay, I have 89 books on my shelves that I haven't yet read that I want to read before the end of the year. I won't get through 89 books before the end of the year. So I thought what would be really good as part of this autumn reading challenge is to set myself a TBR of books I definitely want to read. I couldn't decide whether I wanted to read books that I'm kind of not sure, as in if I get to the end of the year and I haven't read them, should I just donate everything to a charity shop and just be really ruthless and just get rid of all my books? I'm not going to do that. I couldn't decide whether I wanted to just read books that I know I really, 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 really want to read, or books that had just been on my shelf for a really long time, you know, Proust. But what I decided actually is to just use this reading challenge as a way of just picking out 25 fun books. I say fun. They won't necessarily be fun, but 25 books that I really want to read, and I thought this would be a fun way of doing it. So, like I said, I will drop a link below to Victoria's video, and I will drop a link that she has put to the bingo board as well, which I will also pop on the screen here. Let's insert it here, just so you can have a quick look. If you want to pause it and have a look, you could do. I'm going to remove that now though. So some of these prompts obviously are for ones that you might be doing, you might pick at the time that you're about to read a book to fit that prompt. So the first one actually I think fits that, because the first prompt is to match a book to your drink. So I guess it depends on what you're drinking at the time. But at the moment, because it's the height of summer, I'm drinking a lot. Where's my water? I'm drinking a lot of iced water. So I guess a blue book or a see-through book or a clear book maybe, or something like that. But I guess also in autumn I drink a lot of coffee, so maybe a brown book or something coffee-like. Let's see what I've got. The most difficult thing I think about trying to find a book with a specific cover is that you have to look through every single book, because I can't remember what's on the cover of some of these. You know what, I think I have picked the one that I'm going to go for, but I'm just going to double check. So I'm going for a kind of blue because at the moment I have water. So these are just like two of the bluest books that I have on my shelf. So I have Elizabeth Jane Howard, The Long View, and I have This Must Be the Place by Maggie O'Farrell. I believe that this was Maggie O'Farrell's second novel. Is it second or third? I don't know because it doesn't actually say. So this was actually sort of a reprint. So it's got all of her other novels listed. Ooh, somebody's left a note in this book. So this was a second-hand one. This says, rearrange hairdressers, 12th of July, holiday, 11th to the 17th of July. This is why they can't go to the hairdressers. Anne's birthday, Wednesday, 10:30, the chapel, 2:30, Richard. Who knows? It was only halfway through the book, so I'm assuming they didn't get that far. So I need to pick one of these books. And I think, so I can't remember if this is Maggie O'Farrell's. I'm trying to do this all off the top of my head, so I'm not going to be looking it up. But I can't remember if this is her second novel or one of the later ones. And I'm trying to read all of her books in publication order. I think this might be the second, but I'm going to leave that for now. So I'm going to pick, I mean, it is the bluest book, but this is a nice light blue. So I think the book I'm going to pick for this particular prompt. So we're going to go with blue. We're assuming that I'm going to be drinking water. I don't know. I don't have any brown books though. So we're going to go with not a coffee book. We're going to go with Elizabeth Jane Howard, The Long View. I've never read any Elizabeth Jane Howard. It's set in the 1950s and I think it goes backwards in time. So her children are grown up and it starts to go back in time to when she met her husband, I think, in the 1920s. And it sounds really, really interesting. It was first published in 1956. So this is definitely a book I think I want to get around to this year because I've never read any Elizabeth Jane Howard and I really, really want to. So we're going to put that as the first prompt. Okay. The second prompt is a book that features magic. I don't think I have any. Okay, this is going to be fun. Let's try and find it. Let me put this over there. Okay, so I can't find a single book for the second prompt, which is a book that features magic. But I am determined to do this. So what can I, oh, I have an idea. So this is my plan. The Magician by Autumn TBR. I feel like that's, you know, in keeping with this very chill reading challenge, is to just bend the rules or bend the prompts however you want. So we've got The Magician by Autumn TBR. I really love his writing. I've said this so many times. I am working my way through all of his novels. I won't do it in publication order because I've read them sporadically, but this keeps coming back on my TBR, so I really, really need to read this one. There's another Autumn TBR that keeps coming back as well, but The Magician, there we go. It's a book that features magic because it's got, I mean, it's not about a magician. It's about Thomas Mann, but anyway, it's got The Magician as the title, so I feel like that's an okay prompt. Okay, what have we got next? The next one is a book with leaves on the cover. Okay, so we've got another, I see one immediately. Let me put this on the pile. So I see one immediately because this has got a tree on the front. There we go. Do I want this to be the one? So this is Spoilt Creatures by Amy Twigg. I bought this because it was longlisted for the Polari Prize when the Polari Prize didn't happen, and Amy Twigg was one of the authors who pulled out of the prize that year. So I bought this to support her. And I think this is about a kind of, I want to say a cult, but I don't know if that's true. It's sort of a house, a women's commune, maybe not a cult, but under the leadership of an enigmatic person. Is it truly what it seems? An unforgivable transgression comes to light. Power struggles intensify. Sounds like a bit like a cult, doesn't it? I'm quite intrigued by this book, actually. This is the reason I bought this, because I thought it sounded really interesting. So I think this might be the one that I pick. Let me just see if I've got anything else that might fit this, that might grab my attention more. This also has leaves on it. So this is The Odd Woman by George Gissin, which I do also want to read as well. I mean, I want to read all of these, so I don't really know what I'm talking about. This kind of has trees on it. In the distance though. Okay, you know what, I'm going to go with my first choice. I'm going to go with Spoilt Creatures by Amy Twigg. Obviously, if you've read any of these, let me know if you think I'm making good choices out of my TBR. But yeah, really looking forward to reading this one. So let's put that one on there. So the next one is Disability Rep. This is one that, off the top of my head, I can only think of one book that I think talks about disability, but I don't know what the representation is. So in terms of kind of yeah, I think this is one that I'm going to go for, actually. So this is The Facemaker by Liz Fitzharris. sorry, not Liz, Lindsay Fitzharris. I don't know how well disability is spoken about in this book. I don't know anything about it. So I don't know if this is a particularly good choice for this, but I think it's the only one that I've got. So this is a non-fiction book about the First World War, but it's specifically about a doctor whose name I have forgotten, but he was a pioneering surgeon for people with facial disfigurements during the First World War, and that's kind of what the subtitle of the book is. And I've had it on my shelf. I bought it secondhand. I had it on my shelf for a while, but this is the only one that I can think of that does actually speak about disability. And what I'm hoping from this book, I don't know anything about it, but what I'm hoping is that it talks about the way that soldiers who returned from the war, because they had catastrophic injuries that no one had ever seen before, because the kinds of weapons that were used in battle during the war weren't the kind of weapons that people had ever really used sort of to that scale. And some of the injuries that people had were absolutely horrific, but some of the ways, some of the ways that people were able to survive those injuries, I think took a lot of people by surprise, especially doctors, and they really struggled to know how to treat people. So I think it will address those aspects, but I wonder if it will also talk about the social stigma that a lot of these soldiers faced, and a lot of the ways in which they couldn't find work, they weren't able to find work, and they were actively, well, not just that they couldn't find work, they were actively told that they would not be employed, like en masse, a lot of soldiers who had disabilities. So I wonder if it will address that as well. So I'm quite interested in this, and I would love to know if you've read it, what you kind of think of that. So that is a book for the prompt of disability rep. So the next one is a book by your favourite author. I feel like I've already kind of picked one with Colm Tóibín because he is one of my favourite authors. And I do keep mentioning The Master by Colm Tóibín, which is another one which is about an author. So this is about Henry James. And I do want to read this before the end of the year, but there's no way that, even if I do decide to get rid of some of these books at the end of the year, there's no way that this one is going anywhere. So will I pick two Colm Tóibín? I don't know. What else have I got that might be a favourite author? Let me look. There's lots of books by people who I feel like could be favourite authors if I'd only ever read any of their books, which are all here, and I haven't read yet. You know, I don't think I have anything else. I genuinely don't. I don't think there are any other books by people that I would consider either favourite. You know, most of them I think are authors that I've never read before, which I believe will come in handy for a future prompt because I have looked at these prompts. But I can't see a single one that is by someone that I would say favourite author. Maybe future favourite authors, definitely. Okay, so I'm going to go for this one. So we're going to put this... This has to be the last TBR that this gets put on. I have to read it. So The Master by Colm Tóibín is a book by my favourite author. Next, a seasonal read. Now this can be any season. Autumn and spring I think are my favourite seasons, closely followed by winter. And as you can tell by the fact that I'm quite grumpy about being warm all the time on these videos, I really hate summer. I've always hated summer, and climate change is just making me hate it even more. But I think in terms of maybe books that mention seasons, so I've got A Winter Away by Elizabeth Fair. I was hoping to actually read this, so I got this as part of my book advent calendar in December last year, and I was going to read it straight away because obviously it's about winter, so I thought that would be a great time. And given this is an autumnal read along, maybe I want to save this for December. But what else have I got that isn't this? I do still have... Ooh. This also kind of has leaves on the front, but I also have Summer by Edith Wharton. So I have actually started this already, and I think I was reading it because I was on a train journey and I took it with me because it's really short, and sort of forgot when I got home. I was enjoying it, but I didn't get very far at all. So there's a... I forgot about this. We went to a National Trust property recently, and Mary got this... Again, I took this book because I thought I might read it like in the car journey because a friend was driving, and I didn't. But she got this postcard of a cow, which I forgot was in this book. Okay, I'm going to put that to one side. What was I talking about? Yes. But it feels like I should finish this before the end of summer. I mean, September's probably still going to be very hot and it's not that far away. So we've got winter. We've got literally a book called Summer. What else do we have? I have The Holiday by Stevie Smith, which is a very, very small Virago Classics. Stevie Smith is better known for her poetry, and only wrote 3 novels. The Holiday, she said, was her favourite, and I know absolutely nothing about this. It's about Celia, who works at the ministry in the post-war England of 1949, lives in a London suburb with her aunt. Celia is preoccupied with love, it says, for her friends, her colleagues, her relations, and especially for her adored cousin. It sounds like it's just a really interesting, plotless character study, which is very much my kind of thing. And I feel like The Holiday could represent any season. So I think I'm actually going to pick The Holiday by Stevie Smith, because I feel like that's just seasonal in that it's absolutely any season, so I can read it at any point. The next one is BIPOC Rep, which is Black, Indigenous, People of Colour. And I have a few options for this, I think, but let's have a look and see. Possibly, I don't want to deliberately pick a book which I know I wasn't enjoying because I've already started it. I was reading this book, In Defence of Leisure, by Ashki Singh, which is a non-fiction book, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's in defence of it's sort of a long book length essay about doing nothing and how enjoyable that is. But I already started it and I found it quite pretentious. I feel like I might not actually get around to reading that. So I don't want to deliberately pick something which I know I won't like. I really just need to get rid of this, don't I? Maybe I'll give it another try. Maybe it wasn't the right time. Maybe I'll give it another try. But the book I think I will pick is The First Woman by Jennifer Nansabuga Makumbi. This was another book on my book advent calendar. It was on day 3. I've still got the little slips for most of these. This was suggested by Deborah. I know she really likes this, so I'm quite excited to get round to this. This is a very small font. I think that this is definitely, I'm looking around just to make sure, but yeah, I think this is definitely the one that I will pick for the prompt of BIPOC Rep. So let's have a look. The next one is fun. A title that starts with A-U-T-M or N, because we're spelling autumn. Oh, really should have planned that, shouldn't I? A-U-T. What if I don't have anything? I will not do this on library books. This is all books that I own. Uh-oh. Okay, I have 6 books that start with the letter A. I think every single one of these starts with the letter A. So firstly, A Winter Away. I've already decided I'm going to read this in December, so I won't be looking at this, I don't think, for any prompts. And also Winter, I feel like it starts with the letter W. I feel like we need to get rid of that letter A. So the remaining books are all quite big books. Well, some of them are. So the first one that I found is All Passion Spent by Vita Sackville-West, and that was from day 18 of my book advent calendar. And this is set in 1860. I don't know anything else about it. With a lot of these, you know, that I'm going to mention, if you think I'm making the wrong choice, let me know in the comments below. Another one was a memory called Empire. Again, it starts with the letter A. This was on my wife's TBR, and she put this onto my TBR for my book advent calendar. This is, I believe, a sci-fi book, and it's not at all the kind of thing that I would normally read, which is quite interesting, I think. But again, if I'm excluding one book because it's got A, I think I should probably exclude that book as well. So the 3 remaining is one of the most recently acquired purchases. So I said I'd found some Persephone books in a second-hand shop. So this is Alas, Poor Lady by Rachel Ferguson. There is the end papers. This book was published sometime in the 1920s, I think. 1937, actually. I don't know anything about it because Persephone books don't tell you what they're about, but it's quite a chunky book. So if you have read, the bookmark is still in the book. All of these books in the second-hand shop had the bookmarks with them, and I bought 2 of them because I tried not to be greedy. But if you have read Alas, Poor Lady by Rachel Ferguson, let me know. I think I'm going to go slightly crazy and not pick that one, because it's the one most recently purchased by me, along with another Persephone book, so I feel like I don't have priority to get around to it. The next one is Anderby Wold by Winifred Holtby. Winifred Holtby is one of the authors I was thinking of when I thought of a favourite author, because I think she will be a favourite author, despite the fact that I've never read anything by Winifred Holtby. But I really want to read them all in publication order, and this is her first. So this is a possibility, because the next one is Adam Bede. confession time. There might be some confessions in this video. I've never read any George Eliot. Okay, I know. So I've got the first one because Autumn Bede is George Eliot's first novel. And I like to read things in publication order. Charles Dickens really liked it, according to the back here. I think that's really funny, this little blurb from Charles Dickens. Will I get round to reading Autumn Bede before the end of the year? Okay. So, I think, if I've remembered the prompts correctly, because I did have a quick look at them first, this might fit another prompt. So, insanely, I'm actually going to pick Autumn Bede by George Eliot, because I need to read it. I've had this on my shelf for a few years. I've wanted to get around to it for a while. Okay, let's read the next one. Fall or Autumn? Read a translated book. Oh. Do I actually have any Okay. I think I'm sort of off the top of my head trying to look at what I think is... what I think is translated. Proust. Why do I just keep putting this off? I mean, it can't be that bad, can it? Okay, I've already started this book and I didn't stop reading because I didn't like it. I think it was probably PhD related. That's normally why I'm pausing books at the moment. But this is The Mirror of Simple Souls by Aileen Keener, which is translated from the French by Susan Emmanuel. This is a book about the Beguines, who were an order of nuns, I believe. A community of independent women, so not nuns, but who are free to work, study and live their lives away from the domination of men. So this is a true story set in 1310 in Paris. But then a wild red-haired girl arrives at the beguinage, pursued by a sinister Franciscan monk, which just sounds really great fun, and I really, really enjoyed what I'd read so far. But that is a translated book. The other one, I'm assuming is translated, but this is Hermann Hesse's Narcissus and Goldmund. This was on my book advent calendar 2 years ago, and it's one of only a couple of books that I haven't yet read from that. Yes, this is translated from the German by Geoffrey Dunlop. As much as I really, really want to get back to reading this amazing French medieval novel, I have had this book for too long and I really, really want to finish it. So I'm going to put this Hermann Hesse book on my Autumn TBR. Okay, so what is next? A new to you author. Well, most of these authors, as we've established, are new to me. So I think what I will probably do for this prompt is just pick something at random that I feel like at the time. But let's pick something now just so I can talk about it. Well, no, not all of them are new, actually. I'm just looking at ones by authors that I've definitely read before, but not favourite authors. So for this one, let's just pick, how about this one? So The Chamomile Lawn by Mary Wesley. This was, again, from my book advent calendar. I think it was anyway. I haven't kept the piece of paper for it, but I'm pretty sure it was. And yeah, this sounds like a really interesting book. It's set in 1939. It's about 5 cousins who are meeting for their annual summer holiday. Oh, I'm feeling that right now. Whew, maybe I'll read this now, actually. No, it's going on the TBR as a new to me author. So one of the many that I have in front of me that is new to me. Okay, the next one is Rain on the Cover or in the Title. Okay, I don't have any books that actually have rain on the cover. I've got to stop holding this book up. A Winter Away by Elizabeth. It has snow on the cover. Snow? That's a form of rain. And what I'm actually going to pick, though, is one of my favourite secondhand purchases ever, because I really like this cover. So this is The Weather at Tregulla, let's go with that, which is a novel by Stella Gibbons. It doesn't have rain on the cover, but it has the title Weather. And rain is a form of weather, right? So yeah, I'm going to go with that. Yeah, why not? I just really like this. It's a hardback book from, I don't know when it was published. Let's have a little look. 1962, and it's still got the dust jacket, which is really, really rare for books that are this old. So yeah, maybe there'll be some rain. I'm going with it. It's all I've got. It's all I've got. Well, except for A Winter Away, which I will read at some point. Set in a small town. So I feel like all of Winifred Holtby's books are set in small towns. I feel like a lot of Persephone books tend to be set in small towns. You know, at a push, Square Haunting by Francesca Wade, which, okay, it's about London, but bear with me, hear me out. It's specifically about Bloomsbury, right? And one square in Bloomsbury where lots of people lived, which is kind of like, you know how like when you live in London, if you live in London, if you live in a big city, do you know what I mean? Where like, you only end up staying in a very small part of it, so it feels like you're in a small village. Is anyone buying this? Is anyone buying this? No, okay, I'll keep looking. I feel like that's set in a medium-sized town. Okay, so the thoughts and happenings of Wilfred Price, purveyor of superior funerals. Day 15 of my book advent calendar. And this is set in 1924 in the Welsh village of Narberth. And it's about an undertaker. There you go. It's set in a small Welsh village and it's by a Welsh author. So I believe that ticks that prompt. There we go. Brilliant. I've got my pile of books that I've picked for this is now teetering and falling over. So I need to move some books to rescue it. This is chaos. Okay, so the next square is why this challenge is 24 or 25, because the next square is self-care, which you can pick a book if you want, or you can pick something that is just a nice thing to do. And I feel like for me, reading books is self-care. And for that, I think I will probably just, whichever thing I feel like might be comforting at the time when I decide to read it. But I think self-care for me is probably reading a Persephone book. So let's pick up this one right here, The Young Pretenders by Edith Henrietta Fowler. It's book number 73. Again, I know nothing about this. It does seem to... Is this a children's book? It's got pictures in it. This book was first published in 1895 and is indeed a children's book, which I think actually might be a little bit of self-care. Reading a nice, I hope it's nice, children's book and a Persephone book as well. So that's definitely a self-care thing for me. The next one is a book with a house on the cover. Now, Victoria, there are a lot of prompts with covers and I am having to lift up a lot of books. It's fine though. This one, there we go, I've just found one. Why am I being grumpy? Well, because it's so warm. Let me get my fan out again, hang on. I actually seem to have quite a few books just within eyeline that have houses. Is that a house? So Elizabeth Gaskell, Sylvia's Lovers. I know at the moment as I'm filming this video that the vote is happening for what might be the group read for Victober. So there are some houses in the background of this, and this was actually recommended to me by Katie, who obviously, from Books and Things, who obviously runs Victober. So it would be great if this was chosen as the group read, because then I could read it. So I might pick this one. Other ones include China Court by Ruma Godden. I had started this a few years ago. A year ago? 2 years ago, I think. And I think this is the one, if I'm thinking correctly, this is the one that starts with an introduction by the author who says, yes, there's lots of characters, but just keep reading, it will be fine. And there's so many characters at the start of this book, including dogs who are named, and it's not clear at first that they are dogs. I think that's, if I'm right, that is the right thing. But I think I'm going to go with these little houses in the background of this. Sylvia's Lovers by Elizabeth Gaskell. I do really want to read this. That's a really small font. And fingers crossed that this gets picked as the group read for Victober, because then I can tick Victober off as having read the group read for that. If not, I will still probably read it. Okay, so what is next on this Autumn TBR? Scarily Big, a book over 400 pages. I can see Proust right there. I can see him looking at me. You can keep looking at me, Proust. You can keep looking. I'm going to pick some other books. Oh, cow postcard fell over. He's still looking at me. Proust is still looking. Okay, I'm going to pick this book. I could probably pick a smaller book, couldn't I? Because this is quite big. But this is 603 pages. This is Persephone book number 141. It is The Deepening Stream by Dorothy Canfield Fisher. I bought this book a few years ago because I was told that this is one of the best books about the First World War ever written. And I have never read it, obviously. So this was published in 1930. So that is a massive book, so I'm going to pick this one to read this autumn, if I can fit it in, because it's massive. It's absolutely massive. Maybe I'll pick one that's exactly 400 pages. No, don't wimp out, it's only 377. Okay, fine, I'll read the massive book. There we go. So the next prompt is to read a spooky or a spoopy book. And I believe in this we're terming spooky something really scary and spoopy something kind of cute scary. Oh, okay. I was going to say I don't have any scary books. I don't have any horror books. I don't have any like frightening books. I don't have any like cute frightening books. But I tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick up a book that terrifies me. I'm going to pick up Proust. Wow, okay. So for this prompt, scary book, this is where I'm going with this. This is how I'm interpreting it. For some reason, I have now terrified myself about reading. Okay, so this is Swan's Way, the first of the epic, I don't even know how many, there are 6 volume, In Search of Lost Time. This is volume 1. This is the one translated by Charles Scott Moncrieff, but I think it's been revised by Terence Kilmartin. Okay, I'm terrified, so I'm going to pick Proust. So the next prompt is a second-hand or borrowed book. Again, all of these books pretty much are second-hand as I'm looking around. So let's just randomly pick one. And again, another of my favourite covers. This is very second-hand because it's quite an old book. But this is Monica Dickens, Kate and Emma. I really love this cover. This is, again, I want to say it's from the 1960s. Yeah, so this is from 1965 and it still has the dust jacket. I think this is about kind of a young girl and her friend is a bit of a tearaway, but I don't really know anything about it. I think I've read Monica Dickens before. Off the top of my head, in a heatwave, I'm struggling to remember, but I think I have. But this sounds really like, I love this cover. It sounds really good fun. But so I'm going to pick that for a kind of a second-hand book. So the next one is a book with an animal on the cover. So I mean, I've got The Birds Fall Down by Rebecca West, which has birds in the title, but there's nothing on the cover. Ooh, here we go. I've got Starlings by Miranda Gold. This was in my book advent calendar 2 years ago. Again, it's one of only a few that I've still got left from that. And this has some starlings on the front. Another one is Bird Life by Anna Smale. This is a book that I've started several times. I loved Anna Smale's first book, which again, heatwave, I've forgotten. The Chimes, which I think was shortlisted for the Booker, I want to say. For some reason this one just didn't work for me and I don't know why, but I'm so determined, and I literally bought the hardback. I think I pre-ordered it because I was so excited because it's been such a long time between her novels being published. So I do kind of want to read them both. I don't know which one to pick. I feel like I need to pick one for the purposes of this video. I mean, they've both got birds on. You know what, I really need to finish the books in the book advent calendar from 2 years ago, so I'm going to pick this one. So this is Starlings by Miranda Gold. I don't know anything about this. I think it's kind of like the legacy of trauma this is about, because it seems to be about a woman who is struggling to understand her mother's her grandparents' experience of the Holocaust and her mother's kind of frailty as she gets older. I don't really know anything about it, but it's about 3 generations of inherited trauma, which sounds delightful. Sounds like my kind of book, actually. So that is going on the TBR for autumn. The next one is a backlist book. Now, most of these are secondhand books. Most of these are backlist books. And how do we classify a backlist book? I guess it's just anything that's not new, right? Well, that's kind of most of these. So I guess a backlist book. Why don't I pick... Oh, am I going to do this? Okay, fine, let's do this. Okay, so The Bell by Iris Murdoch. This is a backlist book that I have never read. I feel like I'm going to like this. I don't know why. It's one of those books that I'm kind of reluctant and a bit scared to read. So this seems to be what this autumn TBR is all about. It's books that I'm slightly scared of reading. So let's pick The Bell by Iris Murdoch. It's about a lay community which is encamped outside an abbey in Gloucestershire, home of an enclosed order of nuns. A new bell has been installed, and then the old bell, legendary symbol of religion and magic, is rediscovered. Why am I intimidated by this? It sounds absolutely brilliant. So The Bell by Iris Murdoch, that's going on the autumn TBR. So the next prompt is a reread. Now, obviously I'm trying to do this based on books on my shelves that I haven't read yet, so I can't really do a reread. So I'm going to have to cheat And I think what I'm going to do is to pick a book which I almost read all of and DNF'd. I think I got about like 80% through, and for some reason I didn't immediately get rid of it. I kept it, and I don't know why. But anyway, this book is Separate Rooms by Pier Vittorio Tondelli. This is introduced by Edmund White, but it is translated by Simon Pleasance. It's about an Italian writer who's in his 30s. His former lover Thomas has died, and Leo is on a plane to Thomas's hometown and kind of is thinking back to their lives where they actually shared separate bedrooms. I don't know what it was about this book that I didn't want to finish reading it. I got most of the way through it. It's very, very short. I believe that this has been republished recently as well, because this book was very hard for me to get hold of. Someone had recommended it, a commentator had recommended it to me, and I managed to get hold of a secondhand copy. But I disliked it. And then I thought, you know what, I'm actually going to keep this, and in a few years' time, if I've forgotten everything, I'll go back to it. So this, I think, is what I'm going to tangentially kind of pick as my reread, is that I will be rereading the 90% of it that I have read before. So slightly cheating, but that's what I'm going to pick for a reread for this autumn reading challenge. So the next one is a book with a body on the cover. I don't know why that makes me think of like a dead body rather than a kind of cheerful woman in a hammock reading a book. Or we've got the face of a woman there. I don't tend to like books that have faces on. I mean, a lot of these seem to have faces on. Birds Fall Down by Rebecca West, that has a body. The Rebecca Rioter by Amy Dilwyn. I really want to read this, and this has got two people on the cover there. Turns out I have quite a lot of books with people on. Oh, you know what I'm going to pick? I'm going to pick this one. So this is Trilby by George du Maurier. I think this is the last of the books from my book advent calendar 2 years ago that I haven't read, and I've been keeping this. So it's about a demonic musician and is apparently one of literature's legendary villains. Sounds great fun. And I do really want to read this. So this is the book. What have I even picked this for? A body on the cover. I've forgotten what the prompt was. This has got two people on the cover right there. So it's got two bodies. So that is for that prompt. The next one is a cozy read or a comfort book. Obviously, I'm going to pick a Persephone book because I always pick Persephone books. Why not? Let's pick another Persephone book. And I'm going to pick The Homemaker by Dorothy Canfield Fisher. This is book number 7 in the Persephone series. This is the end papers. No, I was just thinking, this name sounds familiar. It's because I've already picked one of her books. So The Deepening Stream is the other book that she wrote, which I've already picked. She wrote 22 novels, apparently. And this is another one of her novels, and I don't know when it was written, or I don't know anything about it, but there we go. So that is another one. If you've read her books, I'd really love to know. Please do tell me in the comments. But I think that this is what I'm picking right now for a comforting read, but there are a few others that I can see that I might go for. So the next prompt is to continue a series. Now, when I kind of briefly looked at the prompts, I thought, well, I don't read series, so I'm really going to struggle with this. But I did think of a completely crazy way to do this. And that is to read a series of books. So again, I'm choosing my own way of interpreting this prompt. And I mentioned this already, but I want to read all of the novels by Winifred Holtby because I feel like she's going to become a favourite author. And this is the first novel. So this is why I left this. And I said, we might come back to this. So this is Anderby Wold by Winifred Holtby. I also have The Land of Green Ginger by Winifred Holtby. I have Poor Caroline. I have The Crowded Street, which is the Persephone version of it, and I have South Riding. There is one of her books that I don't have, and I've forgotten the name of it now, but it's the only one that hasn't been republished by Virago. I think it's by Virago in these kind of editions, all by Persephone. So I'm hoping to kind of get a hold of that somewhere. But yeah, I'm going to count this as a series because it's a series of books that I'm going to read. So continue a series. I'm actually going to start a series. So I guess I will start with this one, and then what's the second book? I think it's Poor Caroline. Is it Poor Caroline? I can't remember what the second book is. But anyway, so I'm going to pick literally anything by Winifred Holtby for this particular prompt. So the next one is a random pick. So this is what I'm going to do. which one, which pile do I want? No, those are the ones, I think those are the ones that I've already, I don't know what's in any of these piles. I'm going to close my eyes. I don't like the sound of how that looks. Okay, so we're going to pick this. I don't know what this one is. Oh no, everything's falling over. Why did I think this was a good idea? We're going to pick this one. So this is Loving Without Tears by MJ Farrell, brackets Molly Keane. I think Molly Keane was her real name, is that right? Yes, she was born in County Kildare in 1904, an Irish author. This is about Angel, who is the pivot of her children's lives. And she has plans for all of them, but then they all go awry when her son's new fiance arrives. I think this is supposed to be quite funny, and I have read one of her books before, can't remember which one, Good Behaviour, which was quite funny. That was quite good, actually. I quite liked that. So there we go, randomly selected by me with my eyes closed. I've dropped books on the floor whilst doing it, and that is Loving Without Tears by Molly Keane. I assume she first published it under MJ Farrell, but I believe that Molly Keane is her actual name. So that is the one for that prompt. So the last book is to match your book to your favourite Halloween treat. Okay, I said this video might have some confessions in. When I saw this prompt, you know what I thought? I'm going to have to admit on video that I don't like, it's not that I don't like Halloween treats, because who doesn't like a treat? I don't like Halloween. I just think it's really overrated. I don't get why everyone's obsessed with it. So now that I've dropped that bombshell, the treat that I would have on Halloween is actually to close the curtains and pretend I'm not in, so that nobody knocks on the door. Is that a terrible thing? Am I a terrible person? So what I'm going to pick for my Halloween treat to myself, which is to close the curtains and lock the door, is to read. Oh, you know what? I was actually just thinking about picking a comforting book, or picking like something that's like medieval, which I love, which is that one. But you know what I'm going to pick? Just for the lols, I think this will be good. I'm going to pick Cloistered, My Year as a Nun by Catherine Coldstream. I've heard kind of mixed things about this, so I don't know if I will love it, but it's about her year as a nun. I know that the picture on the front, you know, she's kind of like a medieval nun on the front, and I think that's giving me false hopes about what this book is going to be, because what I want is a book about a medieval nun. That's what I really want. So maybe both of these are Halloween treats to myself, but I'm cloistered because that's what I like to do at Halloween, is keep myself cloistered away from children knocking on my door asking for chocolate. No, it's my chocolate, you can't have it. I'm a terrible person. But I'm going to pick that. So that is my Autumn TBR. You know what? There are so many books, and I can't even pick these. So there's a selection here. These are some of the books that I have selected. 25 books for my Autumn TBR. I have really enjoyed making TBRs this year. It's really helped me focus on the books on my shelves and really highlighting to myself what is there, what I want to read, what I still want to read. You know, looking at all these books, I still want to read them. I don't think I'm going to get rid of any of these at the end of the year, but I am really excited to get around to specifically the ones that I have just selected in the 25 books for the Autumn Reading Challenge. So let me know all of your thoughts in the comments below, and I will see you very soon in another video where hopefully I will be less sweaty.